He was running, running. The moon looked down on him, following him wherever he tried to hide. There was no escaping that bright, exposing gaze. Shouts followed, not far behind as he dove down into the water. His hand brushed against stone brick. This was his opportunity. Dream entered the stronghold. His green robes were soaking wet, slowing him down a bit as he ran through the cold, stony halls. There was a certain room he was looking for, one which could possibly save him. He grabbed a torch off the wall, using it to light his way. Shouts echoed down the corridors. "Shit! They're close!" he cursed to himself. He had to be quick and quiet now. Turning a corner, he ducked into another room, just as a flicker of light came from behind him. His heart seemed to beat louder and louder. He cursed it, hoping his pursuers not be able to hear its thrumming beat. "Where is that sneaky bastard?" said a person nearby. Dream held his breath as he moved. He couldn't be caught here. Then a green glow caught his eye. "Yes!" he exclaimed. The footsteps quickened. "There he is!" someone shouted, pointing towards him. The thundering sound of the others running filled the halls. If there was any time to jump into the portal, it was now. The person who had found him tried to run up and grab him. He moved backwards, dodging the person's blade. They fell to the floor with an audible thump. He considered stealing the blade, when another shout drew his attention to the door. The others had arrived. They all ran towards him, but it was useless. Fate was on his side. Dream stood at the top of the stairs leading to the end portal. He grinned, giving them a small salute as he let himself fall backwards into the void. And he was gone. "Shit! That bastard escaped!" one of the Lemannbergians yelled. Techno didn't pay them any attention. Instead, he turned to the other crowned man in the room. "Rambo." The taller man looked at him, seeming a bit startled. Techno gestured to the portal. "Oh, right." Rambo rubbed his hands together, before awkwardly clambering up the stairs. The others in the group stopped talking, turning to see what the man was doing. "What the hell are you doing?" someone decided to ask after a moment. Rambo had summoned a knife, forged with netherite, and was looking nervously at Techno. Techno ignored the others once more. "Do it." Rambo nodded, shaking, before bringing the blade down on his arm. People covered their eyes, screamed, or began to shout questions as black and gold blood poured from the wound. Rambo grimaced, biting his tongue and resisting the urge to scream and cry. Techno casually walked up the stairs, then patted Rambo on the back. "All right, I'll take it from here." Rambo nodded. The pink-haired man summoned a bottle from thin air and began to collect the blood still pouring from the other's wound. Once he was satisfied, he made a motion with his hands, and Rambo climbed down the stairs. "What are you doing, Techno?" somebody asked. His nose was scrunched up in concentration. He couldn't afford to be distracted right now. Instead of answering, he glared at the others. Rambo answered instead. "We're going to seal Dream in." His voice shook as he spoke, at least for a while. The others began to talk over each other, each trying to ask a different question. "What do you mean? Is that possible? I need blood." Techno glared at them again, effectively shutting them up. He sighed before standing up, golden black blood swirling in the bottle he held. "I'd suggest shutting up for a bit, unless you want to get blown to bits." His red eyes flashed dangerously. He was serious now, and everyone seemed to realize that. "Thank you," he muttered, sarcasm dripping from his voice. He turned towards the portal. He'd better hurry before Dream tries to leave. A bright light filled the portal room. Another star floated above Techno's scarred hand, illuminating the room and blinding them. Techno looked at the star in his hand, unfazed, before crushing it in his hand. A few gasps escaped the lips of the spectators. What kind of a person could crush another star with just their bare hands? Techno carefully poured the fine white powder into the bottle of golden black liquid. Swirling it around, he watched intently as another star mixed in, becoming one with the blood. Satisfied, he looked around the room. "So, shall I do the honors?" He grinned. It was a rhetorical question. Nobody dared approach the stairs. For all they knew, Techno might be about to blow himself up. He chuckled, turning to the portal. Carefully, he poured the mixture into each of the 12 eyes embedded in the portal frame. As soon as the blood star mixture hit each, they dissolved with a hiss. Then a flash of purple and green light came from the portal. A wave of sheer power exploded from the portal, knocking down several of those watching. Techno was fine, though, standing above the now deactivated portal. "What just happened?" someone dared to ask. A flash of red and a wide grin. "We sealed the end." Dream looked around. This was certainly the end, all right. He looked around, spotting the rocky nest in the center of the circle of obsidian pillars. He might have smiled if his lips weren't cut up so badly. Yes, this is where he'd gained the power of the Ender. He had eaten the egg of the Ender Dragon, and subsequently gained its powers. He had thought himself a god after that. He could fly and create things from nothing. He had acquired freedom. And what had he done with that freedom? He sneered as he remembered the words of his prosecutors. Dream, your powers remained unchecked for far too long. We will be restricting your freedom. He sat down, resting against one of the obsidian towers. The voice in his heart, the one that belonged to Chos, his god, trembled.
You need to get out of here.
That's what the voice told him. But what could he do? The stupid, annoying Lemannbergians would chase him to the ends of the earth. Something he'd realized as he tried to fly away on his broken wings and was forced to find the stronghold to escape. He let his wings out now, tenderly feeling where each blade had ripped into him. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He was safe now.
Only for now.
The voice tried to reason with Dream, but he dismissed it with a wave of his hand. He was in his domain now. They couldn't possibly hurt him. He'd ensured that only he would be able to enter the void-filled dimension. About the same time Lemannberg wanted independence. Dream laughed weakly to himself. It was so ridiculous. How could someone as powerful as himself be reduced to this? A pathetic, broken god hiding away.
Don't like it here.
The voice was complaining again. Dream covered his face with his hands, one black and one white. He knew very well that Chos, one whose powers were now his, didn't like being in the end. Chos had been trapped in the end by those who he considered family, a cruel fate for someone whose only wish was to be free. And Dream had inherited the fear of imprisonment, that fear of locked doors and chains. But what other choice did he have? There was nowhere left for him. He continued to rest for what seemed like hours, taking in the empty darkness surrounding him. Finally, he decided he was well enough to travel again, and stood up. He approached the rocky nest in the center of the floating island. He looked down into its starry depths, prepared to leap through. He was thrown back as a green and purple light surrounded the portal. Ow! He groaned as he propped himself up. What was that? He wondered, standing up. He looked at the portal, the one that was supposed to take him back to Earth, his home. No! 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 The swirling, star-filled portal was gone. His dark eyes stared at the rocky bottom of the stony nest. This couldn't be happening. His breath caught in his throat. Was he suffocating? No, this couldn't be happening. He found himself staring at the ground, kneeling, crouched down and grabbing his pure white hair as he tried to figure out what had happened. They couldn't have. That's impossible, he gasped. Purple filled his vision.
No, not again!
He was screaming along with the voice in his ears. His curses and cries ripped at his throat, burning it dry. No, how could this have happened? Dream was trapped in the end. His beginning, the key to his freedom, had now become his prison and his end. Did he perhaps try to kill himself and respawn in the overworld? Perhaps he would bring the portal back. It was a desperate thought, one that he would not have considered if he were sane. It was eerily quiet in the end now. The darkness seemed to surround him, waiting for his decision. He laughed, a small chuckle at first, which soon became deranged shrieks of amusement. Oh, everything had come full circle now. He stood, limp wings draped around his shaking body like a blanket. He remembered when his friends had made him blankets when he'd first come into his new power. That warmth was far gone now. Not like it had helped. But now he's finally going to be able to rest and sleep, blanketed in darkness and sun. He looked down at the rocky nest morosely. Dream raised his right hand. He remembered he'd cut it off to create his not-so-loyal servant. Is this what you wanted, Ronbu? He gasped as his talons pierced his chest, black blood pouring from the wound and staining his pure white skin. He smiled. Well, you've gotten your wish. His void-like eyes closed, the souls that made up his body dissolving into nothingness. What a fitting end. Alone in his prison, Dream was laid to rest. Just as all gods inevitably do.